Assalamualaikum. Today we are from Group 1. We present on the case study 1, which requires students to answer the 2 questions based on the given situation of Excellent Berhad. First of all, I would like to introduce our group members. Our group members consist of Nazmi bin Ibrahim, Ahmad Nabil bin Ahmad Faisal, Muhammad Qayyum bin Abdul Wahab, Muhammad Amirul Hafiz bin Mat Kusari, and my name is Muhammad Faiz bin Ahmad Kamal.
Hello everyone, hi, my name is Ahmad Nabil and I'll be reading the problem statement. Now I can just read the problem statement right here, but how about I read it while we do a reenactment of the situation? Let's get started, shall we? Excellent Berhad, an information and communication technology company, decided to enhance its internal audit functions. Its board of directors approached KPKG, a reputable external consultant, to help with the exercise. One of the KPKG staff, Salina, explained that the internal audit is important no matter what the industry company is in. Salina was keen to talk to Dato Kamil, who is the head of the Audit Committee and the chairman of the board. Dato Kamil explained that since Excellent Berhad was an ICT company, he considered it is important that all members of the Audit Committee must be professional IT engineers in order for them to fully understand the industry and its technical challenges. All 4 members of the audit committees were non-independent, non-executive directors, and were recently retired members of Excellent Berhad's management board. When Salina asked about the relationship with the external auditors, Dato Kamil said that they had an excellent relationship, adding that this was because one of the external auditor partners was the chief executive officer's son. In the previous year, the audit committee members met once with the external auditors. Salina's options is that effective internal control is essential for maintaining the integrity of financial reporting, and the enhancement of the internal audit function would ensure the betterment of the company. Based on the above case, we were required to criticize how Excellent Berhad Audit Committee has failed to meet the regulations and best practices of corporate governance, and discuss any 2 roles of the audit committee towards internal audit functions. I hope you're ready, ladies and gentlemen, because here we go!
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Faiz bin Ahmad Kamal. Let's get things started with question 1. The case we will be assessing today will require us to criticize how Excellent Berhad Audit Committee has failed to meet the regulation and the best practices of corporate governance. Based on the condition of Excellent Berhad, there have been a number of criticism of various aspects of corporate governance. The first thing to criticize concern on the audit committee's membership. As mentioned in the question, the head of audit committee is Dato Kamil, who also serves as chairman of the board. First of all, I want to explain what is chairman of the board of director and its role. Chairman of board is the leader of the board of director, whose role is to ensure that there is accountability among the officers and is equally accountable for the management of officers. The chairman acts as a middleman between the top management and the board of director, ensuring that there is compliance with the company's obligation to all stakeholders. The organisation must refer to the Malaysian Code of corporate governance (MCCG) in order to maximize the level of effectiveness during the audit process, as this body already established various processes that can be a guideline in terms of the corporate governance. The chairman of the audit committee is not the chairman of the board. According to the Principle B, MCCG under effective audit and risk management. In this scenario, Dato Kamil is plainly holding these two positions, which are in violation of the MCCG guidelines. It is crucial for the organization to avoid any failures that would compromise the audit reviews naturally. To avoid any fraud information, misleading statement, irregularities, and lack of transparency during the organization's audit process, the chairman of the board and the head of audit committee cannot be the same person. Normally, as we all know, that the main function of the head of audit committee is responsible for ensuring that audit committee meeting run effectively and each agenda item is discussed by the all members of the committee. It can create the problem if the chairman of the audit committee is also the chairman of the board. There is a good chance that person will try to hide any flaws in the organization statement during the audit process. When this happens in an organization, the audit loses its meaning and there is no way to verify and balance the decision. There are several suggestions that I want to suggest for Excellent Berhad. The first suggestion is the head of the board, which is Dato Kamil, should resign as a chairman of the audit committee, since the position is supposedly held by another person. The best method to choose chairman of the audit committee is through the internal selection, so that we can select the best candidate that have the potential to lead the audit committee in order to hold that position. In addition, the company also need to verify and identify the minimum requirement of the head of audit committee that have been listed by the MCCG. I will pass the next point to our next presenter. Thank you.
Hi. So, for the second critique, it can be seen through the relationship of Dato Kamil and the CEO's son. Dato Kamil has claimed that he has a good relationship with the CEO's son. But this kind of relationship can potentially give a bad impact, as it can lead to conflict of interest. When there is conflict of interest, there will be loss of trust between shareholders, and they will not want to invest with the Excellent Berhad. Why the shareholders do not want to invest with the company? Well, this can be related to nepotism. What is nepotism? So, here is an information of nepotism. Nepotism is defined as the practice among those with power or influence among following relatives or friends. In simple terms, it is a practice of hiring or working with family members or friends. Well, what connection am I trying to make here? Well, it is obvious and questionable enough with the relationship between Dato Kamil and the CEO's son, who is an external auditor for the company Excellent Berhad. So, that is the reason why the shareholder do not want to invest with a company that involved with conflict of interest. This clearly shows that having conflict of interest can damage the reputation of the company. However, in the problem statement, the company did not specify the exact detail of the relationship between Dato Kamil and the CEO's son. So, there can be two situations in this case. For the first situation, if the CEO's son has a huge influence in the audit committee, then there can be conflict of interest. It can affect the decision making in the auditing process. For example, if there is an error made during the auditing process, they will turn a blind eye to the error without reporting it to the board of directors. Conflict of interest can also make them to use bribery to get the results that they wanted in the process. So, what the company need to do? For the next situation, if the CEO's son does not have a huge influence in the audit committee, then there might not be a conflict of interest at all. Why? This is because he is doing his job and role as an external auditor without thinking of his personal benefits and prioritizing of his roles, duties and responsibilities to the company in doing auditorial work. So that's all for the critic number 2.
Hello there, it is time for you to hear what I want to say about Excellent Berhad. My name is Nazmi and I will explain in detail about our third and final critiques towards Excellent Berhad. As we all know, the composition of Audit Committee is made up by non-executive and also non-independent directors as the members. We determine the composition goes against the regulation set up by corporate governance norms. So what do we mean by this? Excellent Berhad's Audit Committee has failed to meet the regulations as they fail to follow the guidelines established by the responsible bodies in the construction of an Audit Committee. First thing first, they didn't comply with the regulation set up by Bursa Malaysia Listing Requirement (BMLR) and Malaysia Code on Corporate Governance in order to form an Audit Committee. The regulations state that an Audit Committee must comprise of an non-executive and also solely independent directors. In the case of Excellent Berhad, Dato Kamil has explained that all 4 members of Audit Committee is non-executive and also non-independent directors. Although they are non-executive directors, they were not able to fulfill the independent director status. This thing clearly violates the regulations and code set up by BMLR and also MCCG. Other than that, the company has failed to act in accordance with the requirement to be appointed as Audit Committee member. We found that the issue presented itself when they appoint the recently retired members of Excellent Berhad's Management Board as their Audit Committee member. This become an issue as an Audit Committee has their own policy that requires a former key audit partner to undergo 2 years as their cooling off period before be appointed as one of the member of Audit Committee. They cannot be appointed immediately without 2 years period as their cooling off period. Moreover, Bursa Malaysia Listing Requirement in Chapter 1, Paragraph 1.01 in bracket B provided definition of independent directors itself, where independent directors are defined as one who is not and has not been within the last 3 years as an officer of state corporation. Therefore, our assessment suggests that Excellent Berhad has violated several rules and regulations and guidelines and is creating a negative impression towards the image and practices of company's Audit Committee.
Alright, let's give a round of applause for our fellow presenters. Very good, very insightful. Alright, so that was the first question. Let's get ready for the second one, shall we? Mr. Koyum and I will take you through question 2. So what is the second question about? Well, I'll tell you. According to the case study, the topic would like us to discuss 2 roles of the Audit Committee towards internal audit function. First things first, what is an Audit Committee? What is it that they do? Why do they do it? The Audit Committee is a composition of members of the Board of Directors who oversees the financial statement and reporting of the company. They are tasked with reviewing and reporting to the board while also being independent from any sort of influence. But that's just the overview of what they do. So I will be elaborating one role of the Audit Committee while Mr. Koyum will be elaborating on another. One of the roles that the Audit Committee plays in internal audit functions is risk management. It is the committee's responsibility to assist the board with establishing and maintaining internal controls over the company's areas of risk. Practice 9.1 of the MCCG states that the board shall establish an effective risk management and internal control framework for the company. The Audit Committee must ensure that the established framework complies with the rules and regulations set up by MCCG as well as other relevant bodies. It continues with Practice 9.2, which requires the board to disclose any features and weaknesses of the framework. The board will need to notify the Audit Committee of every key risk areas and evaluate them. This is usually done in order to identify and prioritize which key areas of risk has more significant impact than the others. This is important as the assessment helps the Audit Committee to identify and report any cases or information regarding fraud as well as irregularities in the financial statement. This is crucial as any mistake or error in the assessment can lead to poor decision making and corporate governance practice. Did you know They also function in safeguarding the company's asset. The Audit Committee is entrusted to act in good faith and make the best decision with regards to the proper use of the company's assets. They will maintain that the status of the asset to not be mistaken, misused, or stolen by unauthorized personnel. This way, it helps in providing reasonable assurance. Now I know what you're thinking. How do they actually safeguard these assets? Insurance. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, companies often purchase insurance to ensure their assets can be replaced or repaired should the occasion arise. An insurer will be responsible of regularly checking the state of the asset. This is done to ensure that the coverage will be able to cover any cost of replacement or repair. From the explanation that I have given, I hope you will be able to see the combination of assessing the areas of risk and safeguarding the assets provide a clear image to how important the Audit Committee is within the company. That will be all from me with regards to the first role of the Audit Committee within an organization. I shall pass the second and final point to Mr. Koyum for his own elaboration. Take it away, Mr. Koyum.
Thank you, Nabil. Okay, now my name is Muhammad Koyum and I am the last presenter for today, and I will explain about the role of Audit Committee towards the function of internal audit. The major point of Audit Committee function towards the internal audit is they oversee the work of internal audit and ensure internal function is effective and able to function independently. Now, let me tell you how the Audit Committee function. One of the Audit Committee function is to ensure that the internal audit report compliance with laws and regulation. How the Audit Committee can ensure that the internal audit is following the laws and regulation is by monitor and review the result of an internal audit. The Audit Committee will monitor and review the result of an internal audit, which also they will review the compliance framework and specific compliance issues. Moreover, the Audit Committee will do the check and balance at the internal audit result in order to come out with positive outcome to make sure that the Audit Committee will monitor and review the result of an internal audit report. This is done for the purpose of the internal audit to work independently and to prevent insiders from taking or influencing the objectivity that they want to achieve. For the second point, the Audit Committee is to ensure the accuracy and completeness of audit report. How does the Audit Committee provide the protection towards the internal audit report? This is when the internal audit in the company has provided the internal audit report to the Audit Committee. They will check it one by one. By checking it one by one, they can find if there is any mistake or error that have been made by the internal audit. The advantage of Audit Committee giving their protection to the internal audit report, as mentioned by my colleague Amirul, firstly, it will ensure that the trust from the investor in the company will be increased. Therefore, it can boost investor confidence towards the company and attract a new investor to invest in the company. In my third and final point, which is being independent from internal or external influence. As for this point, both internal audit and Audit Committee must not be influenced by any other parties in order to have the reliable assessment and the integrity from the audit report. Okay, let me give you an example, which is the first scenario is let's say that both internal audit and Audit Committee being influenced by other parties. It can lead to misleading information, fraud, as well as conflict of interest. The effect of this situation, it can lead to tarnishing the company's reputation and also lose the investor confidence. That's all from me. Thank you. In conclusion, our case study on Excellent Berhad has raised a few concerns and critiques. We found the error in Excellent Berhad choices in corporate governance. The violation committed on Excellent Berhad part were identified and we provide solution, and on our part, Moreover, we were able to elaborate the roles of the Audit Committee in coordinating the function of internal audit. As mentioned by Salina, internal audit function is essential to any company and its operation. And that's all from us. And thank you and Assalamualaikum.